Hello, and welcome back to Three Things You Need to Know series. I'm your host, Deb Getz, medical intuitive, quantum energy healer, and ascension guide. Today in this series, we're going to be talking about the three things we need to know about ascension. So as we move through this time of shifting into faster pulsating energy, it's important to know what is happening to us and the planet and why. We're evolving not only physically, but also spiritually. And we evolved out of the Dark Ages and the Holy Wars and soul-crushing religious restrictions. And we've advanced through the collective age of reason and through the Piscean age. And now humanity, along with Mother Earth, is ushering in the age of Aquarius. Some call this the Golden Age. And the second coming of Christ consciousness is yet another label. But words don't matter much. Since there's no stopping this evolutionary process, it's really essential to know what is happening, why it's happening, and what it means to us as spiritual beings on the earth, how to adapt to it and embrace it. So the first thing we need to know about ascension is what is it and why is it happening now? Ascension is the process of our souls awakening to the divine that the ancient mystics told us long ago resides within each of us. In fact, Michelangelo once said that inside every block of stone was a statue. Well, I think in the same way, inside of every human body is an angelic being of light. And it's the task of every human being to discover it. For centuries, man has been seeking the Holy Grail, which is a mythical and actual chalice or stone that was said to emit miraculous powers that provided happiness, eternal youth, and sustenance in infinite abundance. Well, the time is here and the time is now for us to excavate our weary hearts and rejuvenate the lost parts of ourselves and reawaken to the fact that we are the Holy Grail, that which we've been searching for. This action and intentional process is called ascension. We're living in unprecedented times where nothing like this has ever occurred on the planet before. It's that which our souls have been long craving, a purposeful and intentional process of raising our consciousness from one of lack, fear, judgment, and condemnation to one of compassion, acceptance, innocence, and freedom. It's the act of going deep inside of our hearts, putting on the mantle of the divine, and resuscitating our hearts back to sanctity. It is the intentional commitment that we make to be one who, according to mystic Andrew Harvey said, is actively giving birth to a new world that is struggling to be born. Raising our consciousness bridges the far-reaching gap of separation from the divine. Ascension is actively choosing to be part of the evolution of humanity journeying into higher states of consciousness. And for progressive soul's growth, ascension requires healing our wounds and opening our hearts and merging with that sacred presence to reunite with the Christ consciousness and with every level and every layer of our authentic self. A complete and holistic transformation, awakening is you actually becoming aroused to the truth that you are one with Source or the light of God. So why is this happening now? What force is bringing this experience of awakening to humanity? And what's its purpose? When did this shift begin? And are we being collectively pushed from the nest and challenged to fly to a new horizon of our mastery? The answer is yes, we are. This thrust is part of the evolution of our collective soul. We're shedding our old metaphorical skin, healing our hearts from fear-based reality, growing new skin, and getting on with love. And it all began back in 1987 with a quantum event known as the harmonic convergence, when a quantum gateway opened that we now know as the 1111. The 1111 represented a significant shift, creating a potential for change and an opportunity for humanity to make new choices. It is now possible for us to develop and expand much faster than in previous evolutions. And each level that we scale requires even more trust. And whenever we trust, our consciousness expands exponentially. So the second thing we need to know about Ascension is integration is an essential part of the process. It's important to release lower vibrational fears and elevate our vibration through committed spiritual practices, thereby marrying the spiritual with the physical and the multidimensional with the dimensional. And to fully ascend into fifth and higher dimensions, clearing outdated patterns, habits, beliefs, and paradigms are required to make room for the inner brilliance and divine wisdom that's emerging from within our hearts. And it's already there. We just need to uncover it. By softening attachments to the past and releasing the weight of pain, guilt, and grief, a sense of freedom arises to ascend into these higher frequencies. We will then be able to shine as the unique expression of the divine that we truly are. And it's up to us, the individual, to make this inner shift. Through our own personal awakening, we affect the collective consciousness, viewing reality through the lens of love. And from this enlightened perspective, the mass expansion of love on earth will be fully felt, seen, and experienced. Waking up to the strength and beauty of our divinity also means no longer allowing ourselves to be manipulated by what some have dubbed the powers that be. We need to strengthen ourselves by re-empowering ourselves with our own personal truths. And re-empowering ourselves means to hold the truth of all things without fear. It means that as we awaken and utilize our innate gifts, we can also look in the mirror and realize that it's time to tame our fearful egos. As we reconnect to our divinity and begin to awaken our latent gifts, we activate the co-creative beings we've always been. It is through awakening that we reclaim our mastery and learn to trust our intuition again. As we move from feeling shameful and guilty, we realize that it's not the job of someone else to strengthen our sense of self. It is the job of each person to awaken this vehicle, the physical body, for ascension. It's not the responsibility of someone else to hold our light, maintaining safety, or give instruction on what to do. It's the responsibility of each to become fully realized, mature souls. Ascension means that we no longer hand over our power to others whom we have deemed as better or wiser than we are, but humbly begin the journey of reuniting with that inner truth in our divine hearts. And as we learn to trust our intuition and allow mastery to evolve, we ignite an alchemical process of healing core wounds. It is here that the awakening process begins. And once the fear has been cleansed, the right use of will can be firmly anchored within our solar plexus, which is our center of will. And only then will these miraculous self-liberating gifts be reawakened. So what's the third thing we need to know? Well, you might have the question, will everyone ascend now during this lifetime? Well, every being awakens at the moment that's appropriate for them. That's what we need to know. Some experience this during this lifetime and others will awaken during other lifetimes. And we must remember that it's not for us to judge whether someone awakens up or not. We don't know, maybe in a former lifetime that they were an extremely powerful person, and maybe they just wanted to come into this lifetime to experience what it felt like to skate through life, you know? The beauty is that our journeys are sacred agreements that we made with the divine before arriving here on earth. And our DNA holds the quantum time capsule that, when ready, triggers our soul's awakening to reclaim its mastery. So when enough of us decide to change the energy on the planet, it will change. We have the power to influence, to set in motion one heart at a time, a transformative wave of arousal around the world. You are part of this resounding wave. And now, more than ever, we have this unrivaled potential to awaken as a collective. My goal here is to always to assist in bringing an end to needless struggles and feelings of separation while moving into a life lived with intentional and masterful purpose. So thank you for joining me on this mini journey of expanding our consciousness. It's been very exciting for me to share this series with you, and I hope that it brings you the loving guidance that you've been searching for to provide healing and the opening of your divine heart. And please, before we go, click on the subscribe button below if you haven't done so already, because I'll be bringing you even more of these high vibe teachings in the future. So I hope to see you soon. From my heart to yours.